If you've ever felt tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix, if rest feels guilty instead of refreshing, or if even things you used to love now feel like obligations, stay with me. Because what you're experiencing might not be laziness, lack of discipline, or weakness. It might be burnout, quietly taking over your life while pretending to be productivity. And the most dangerous part is that burnout often feels normal when you've lived inside it long enough. Burnout doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't crash into your life in one dramatic moment. It slips in slowly, disguising itself as ambition, responsibility, and the pressure to keep going. At first, it feels like being tired for a few days. Then, it feels like being numb for weeks. And eventually, it becomes a version of life where you're technically functioning, but internally exhausted and disconnected. This video is not about quick motivation or surface-level self-care. This is a deep reset. A complete reframing of how burnout actually forms, why most advice fails, and how to rebuild your energy without abandoning your goals or identity. Let's start by clearing up a massive misunderstanding. Burnout is not caused by working too hard. Burnout is caused by working without resolution. It's the emotional equivalent of leaving dozens of browser tabs open in your mind, all running in the background, draining power even when you're not actively using them. Most people don't burn out because of one big problem. They burn out because of many unresolved micro-stressors that never fully close. This is why simply taking a vacation doesn't fix burnout. You can leave your job, your city, even your routine. But if your nervous system never learns how to complete stress, you bring burnout with you wherever you go. True recovery starts by understanding how stress actually works inside the body and mind. Stress is meant to be temporary. Your body enters a stress response to help you handle a challenge. Then it's designed to shut off once the challenge is resolved. The problem is that modern life keeps us in a constant low-grade survival state. Deadlines, notifications, social comparison, financial pressure, and self-imposed expectations never fully end. We cope by distracting ourselves, scrolling, binge-watching, overeating, or numbing out, which gives the illusion of relief, without actually completing the stress response. Over time, your nervous system stops believing that rest is safe. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Silence feels threatening. And relaxation creates anxiety because your body doesn't know how to exist without tension anymore. This is the hidden core of burnout. Not exhaustion, but a nervous system that has forgotten how to stand down. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is learning to identify what is truly draining you versus what you are blaming. People often say their job is stressing them out, their workload is too much, or their schedule is impossible. But when you slow down and examine it honestly, the real stress often comes from something underneath. Fear of disappointing others, perfectionism, lack of boundaries, procrastination that creates time pressure, or constantly feeling behind because your expectations don't match reality. Burnout thrives on vague stress. The more undefined your stress is, the heavier it feels. When your mind says everything is too much, your body prepares for an endless threat. But when you can name a stressor clearly, it becomes manageable. Not easier, but finite. And finite stress can be completed. Another critical truth is that burnout is not a motivation problem. You don't need more discipline. In fact, discipline without recovery accelerates burnout. What you need is completion. Completion of stress cycles, emotional release, and internal permission to stop performing strength. This is where most high achievers struggle. They are excellent at pushing through discomfort, but terrible at allowing recovery. They treat rest as something to earn rather than something required. But the body doesn't operate on moral rules. It operates on biological ones. Ignore those rules long enough, and burnout becomes inevitable. Sleep plays a central role here, but not in the way most people think. Sleep is not just rest for the body. It is repair for the nervous system. And not all sleep is equal. Passing out from exhaustion is not restorative sleep. True recovery happens when your body completes full sleep cycles, including deep and REM sleep, without being interrupted by stress hormones. If you wake up feeling angry, foggy, or emotionally reactive, that's not a personality flaw. That's a nervous system that never powered down, and no amount of coffee can fix that. In fact, relying on stimulants to override exhaustion teaches your body that it's never allowed to rest, reinforcing the burnout loop. Good sleep starts long before you lie down. It begins with how you spend the last hour of your day. If you flood your brain with stimulation, information, and emotional content right before bed, your body stays in alert mode. Preparation matters more than duration. A shorter night of deep, calm sleep is more restorative than a long night of fragmented, restless sleep. But sleep alone still won't fix burnout if your emotional stress never completes. This is where connection becomes essential. Humans are biologically wired to regulate stress through connection. Not productivity, not achievement, not isolation. Safe connection signals to the nervous system that the threat has passed. This doesn't mean you need constant social interaction. It means you need moments where you feel seen, accepted, or physically relaxed. Simple things like laughter, gentle touch, movement, or shared presence release hormones that actively reduce stress and anxiety. These aren't luxuries, they are biological requirements. Burnout also feeds on self-neglect disguised as responsibility. Many people pride themselves on being reliable, strong, and capable. But over time, that identity turns into self-abandonment. You stop listening to your body because stopping feels irresponsible. You ignore emotional exhaustion because other people depend on you. Eventually, your sense of worth becomes tied to output instead of well-being. This is where self-worth becomes a recovery tool, not a motivational slogan. When you believe your value is conditional on productivity, rest feels undeserved. When you believe your worth is inherent, rest becomes non-negotiable. Burnout recovery requires a shift from proving your value to protecting your capacity. And here's the most important truth of all. Burnout is not a personal failure. It is a signal, a message from your nervous system that something must change. Not necessarily your job, your goals, or your ambition, but the way you relate to effort, rest, and yourself. You are not broken because you're exhausted. You're responding exactly as a human nervous system would under prolonged pressure without resolution. The solution is not to push harder. It's to learn how to close the loops that keep stress alive inside you. Recovery doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small, consistent moments where you allow completion instead of distraction, where you choose rest without guilt, where you stop waiting for permission to take care of yourself. Because the truth is, nothing you're chasing is worth losing yourself in the process. And the version of you that is rested, regulated, and emotionally whole will always be more powerful than the version running on burnout and willpower. If this resonated with you, it means your body is asking for something deeper than productivity hacks. It's asking for sustainability. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. You don't need to escape your life. You need to learn how to live it without burning yourself out. And you can start now.